Dragon Ball Daily Gift Pack Chapter 241-260. 241. CBWA, 5/6. Yichu breathed a sigh of relief when he saw that he had not gone through any inspections, because he had seen an emerald green circle in front of the gate of the Magic City. When ordinary people enter, the green aperture will conduct an inspection of the whole body, and even the blood and soul aura. Although Yichu feels that he can pass that inspection, if he does not carry out that inspection, naturally it is good. After walking into the Magic City, Yichu looked around, and found that the Magic City was very lively, with people coming and going. There were sounds of hawking, and there were some demons setting up their own stalls. I don't know where I got some treasures and put them on the ground and started to sell them loudly. The whole Magic City is very lively, and some places have some aromas, presumably there are very delicious food. Yichu's delicacies in this Magic City are also unparalleled. After Lord Baihua has summoned you, I will invite you to have a good meal in the Magic City. Chaji Yu said to Yichu. After hearing what Chaji Yu said, Yichu nodded silently, a little smile appeared on his face, and Yamoshi, who was next to him, was also moved. It didn't pass. After time, Chaji Yu and the general defending the city took Yichu and Yamoshi to a very luxurious shrine, which was also in the innermost part of the Magic City. In the innermost of the Magic City, there are 5 other shrines like this. Yichu, these 5 or 6 other shrines are also the shrines of the 5 most powerful adults in the first planet. With the words of Lord Baihua, there are a total of 6 most powerful people. They are the most powerful people in the demon universe apart from the Lord. Chaji Yu opened his mouth. After hearing what Chaji Yu said, Yichu also nodded. He looked at the main hall in front of him and felt that there was a very oppressive force in most of the 6 halls in front of him. Although there are some hidden pressures in the hall, if you look closely, you can feel that there is a very terrifying force hidden inside, and it seems to be asleep. The demon world is indeed stronger than the Dragon Ball world. The strength of these 6 demons is a little bit stronger than I am now. Yichu sensed the aura coming from the 6 shrines, and then thought in his heart. Lord Baihua, we have brought Yichu here. At this time, the general defending the city stepped forward and said to the inside of the Baihua shrine. The voice also reached the shrine, and after the voice reached the shrine, a moment later, a crisp sound came from inside. The sound of, "Have you brought Yichu here? If so, then let Yichu come in, and the rest of the people will just stay outside." Such a voice came from inside Baihua shrine, and after hearing the voice from Baihua shrine, Chaji Yu nodded, and then he opened his mouth and said to Yichu, "Okay, Yichu, Master Baihua. Just let you in alone, you can go in now." Chaji Yu opened his mouth. Yichu nodded after hearing Cha Gu's words. Then Yichu looked at Yamoshi next to him, and nodded at Yamoshi. Yamoshi knew that Yichu wanted him to wait for him outside, so Yamoshi also responded to Yichu. "It's okay, Yichu, go in alone, I will wait for you outside." What Yamoshi said, although Yamoshi said this, he was actually a little flustered, because at this time, if Yichu encountered danger after entering, I am afraid they would have to run away. Immediately afterwards, Yichu walked into the Baihua shrine. After Yichu walked into the Baihua shrine, his vision had changed, and there were some mysteries in the Baihua shrine. After he entered the Baihua Divine Palace, he felt a power coming from his body, and then Yichu entered a room. After entering the room, he saw a figure standing in the room. The reason why Yichu came to this room before was because he was teleported over by Baihua in an instant. Yichu looked at the figure standing in front. This person was Baihua. Baihua was standing in front at this time. He had long hair like a waterfall, his figure was graceful, and he looked very beautiful. Yichu's heart was also slightly surprised. He didn't expect Baihua to be so beautiful, but he was one of the 6 masters in the demon world. Flowers 0. I've heard for a long time that Lord Baihua is very beautiful, but now I feel that what I said outside is still a little small. Lord Baihua is so beautiful, it's like a city. Yichu opened his mouth. At this time, Baihua also looked at Yichu tightly. After hearing Yichu say this, Bai Hua also showed some smiles on his face. Hee hee, you're really sloppy. You said that the first time you saw me, but I liked what you said in my heart. At this time, Bai Hua moved his body and said. When Bai Hua moved his body, a wonderful fragrance permeated his body and entered Yi Chu's nose. This scent even made Yi Chu's nerves feel a little numb, making him feel that he wished he could even bow down under Bai Hua's pomegranate skirt. 0. Yi Chu's face turned a little scarlet, but he secretly said something bad in his heart. He didn't expect that when Bai Hua came up, he showed a charm to him. At this time, Yi Chu gently closed his eyes, and when he closed his eyes, he began to enter the state of mind of the ultimate freedom. Yi Chu didn't directly use the Zizai Ji Gong at this time, but he just used the state of mind of the Zizai Ji Gong. When Yi Chu displayed a state of ease and extreme ease, his heart also became very cool. At this time, it seemed that there was nothing else in his heart except Tao. And at this time, the charm ability that had been exerted on Yi Chu before also dissipated. You are really interesting. I didn't expect that my talent and charm would be easily relieved by you, and it didn't take a few seconds. At this time, Bai Hua was a little surprised. One of his talents was this power of charm, and he was able to achieve his current status now, and he also had a lot of credit for this power of charm. In the past, no matter who they were, except for the master, they would have a great influence on his charm. Even the remaining 5 demons existed supreme, and they were a little bit afraid of their charm ability. Yes, but I didn't expect Yi Chu to unlock his power of charm so easily. 1. 242. Dominate the secret realm in the palace, 6/6. You do have some secrets, but don't worry, everyone has their own secrets, and I won't explore your own secrets, and your talent and strength are so powerful, it's a good thing for me, at least we are now same faction. At this time, Bai Hua spoke. After Bai Hua spoke, Yi Chu felt a little relieved. He was really worried that Bai Hua would attack him at this time. If Bai Hua attacked him, he would only be exposed temporarily. Own identity and strength. I heard in the news before that your strength is extremely high, even not far behind that of Chigu, but when I saw you at this time, I felt that your strength was likely to be stronger than that of Chigu. Even stronger, Yi Chu, right? Bai Hua stared at Yi Chu tightly and asked. Bai Hua's eyes, 143, stared at Yi Chu tightly, making Yi Chu feel as if all the secrets in his heart had been seen through. I feel that there is a huge amount of energy hidden in your body. Although I don't know what kind of energy it is so huge that it makes me even a little scared. Bai Hua said, the reason why he was able to judge that Yi Chu's strength was stronger than Cha Ji Yu was because he felt the hidden energy in Yi Chu's body to say such words. After hearing Bai Hua's words, Yi Chu was a little surprised, but then he nodded lightly. At this time, Bai Hua had already seen a little of his own strength, and he simply admitted it, but in fact, his real strength was much higher than Bai Hua imagined. Yes, Mr. Bai Hua, my strength is indeed higher than Chigu, and I do this for my own sake. After all, if I don't have a few trump cards when I go out, I will feel a little uneasy in my heart. Yi Chu opened his mouth, and after hearing what Yi Chu said, Bai Hua nodded too. He understood Yi Chu somewhat, but he actually had some doubts in his heart, because Yi Chu's current strength was incomparably high, but in the past he hadn't heard much of Yi Chu's deeds. Yi Chu also saw the doubts in Bai Hua's heart at this time, and felt a little nervous in his heart. Seeing Yi Chu's nervous appearance, Bai Hua also giggled. Yi Chu, why are you nervous? You're under my command now, and your strength is so strong. It doesn't hurt me at all. It's impossible for me to shoot at you. Don't worry. Not only will I not shoot at you, but I will use you heavily. At this time, Bai Hua opened his mouth, and Yi Chu's heart also relaxed after hearing Bai Hua say this. Yi Chu, from today onwards, you will be my left guardian. Your status is even higher than that of Chigu. You deserve it. Besides this position, I have a task for you. Bai Hua opened his mouth. After hearing Bai Hua say this, Yi Chu was also a little surprised in his heart, not knowing what task Bai Hua wanted to give him. Yi Chu, your strength is so high, but you were hidden together before, and now you come out, you definitely don't want to be unknown. To be honest, the Demon Lord has disappeared during this period of time. After the Demon Lord disappeared, the demon universe has also been divided into two major factions. And every faction has two great powers. I joined forces with another strong man, but at this time we are only joining forces on the surface. Maybe we will separate at some time, I need your help. Baihua said to Yichu straight to the point, and Yichu nodded when he heard Baihua say this. To be honest, the Demon Lord has disappeared recently, and after the Demon Lord disappeared, a secret realm has been exposed in the place where the Demon Lord once lived. That secret realm is very mysterious, but it is said that there are also very terrible dangers, and we are preparing to enter that secret realm for a while. You can enter this secret realm with me at that time, and you may get a lot of opportunities. Baihua opened his mouth. In fact, he knew in his heart that the secret realm was very dangerous, but the reason why he let Yichu enter it was to increase his strength a little bit. In addition, he didn't completely trust Yichu in his heart. If there was any danger here, Yichu could also share some of it for him. If Yichu died inside, he would feel so sad in his heart. And ashamed. At this time, Yichu was a little surprised when he heard Baihua's words. At this time, a secret realm appeared in the palace where the devil ruled. It is possible that the reason why the devil dominates the disappearance has something to do with this secret realm, and there may be some treasures in this secret realm, but Biwa let himself go in with him, obviously with bad intentions. Okay, Mr. Baihua, I promise. After being silent for a while, Yichu spoke up. After hearing what Yichu said, Baihua also became a little overjoyed. It seems that although Yichu's strength is strong, he is actually just a fool. Baihua thought to himself, he thought so in his heart, but there was a slight smile on his face. Okay, Yichu, when the time comes, you will enter that secret realm with me. After we enter that secret realm together, maybe you will get a great chance in it, and I will give you a lot after you come out. Treasure. Baihua opened his mouth, and Yichu nodded after hearing Baihua's words. The two had their own thoughts in their hearts, and immediately after Yichu and Baihua said some more words, Baihua let Yichu go out. Yamoshi and Chigu were waiting outside. Yamo 0.7 was a little anxious in his heart, while Chigu was curious, what did Baihua promise to Yichu? After a while, the two saw Yichu walking out of Baihua's shrine. When Yichu came out of the Baihua shrine, Yamozi felt relieved, and it seemed that Yichu had nothing to do at this time. And when Chaji-yu saw Yichu coming out at this time, he also ran over quickly. Yichu, Lord Baihua, what benefits and tasks are promised to you? After hearing what Chaji-yu said, Yichu also said slightly, Master Baihua made me his left guardian, and then entered with him into a secret realm that was about to be opened some time ago. After hearing Yichu say this, Chaji-yu was also slightly surprised. 243. Magic City Play, 1/6. Lord Biwa actually let you enter that secret realm too, that's great, then I'll have company after that. You must know that after a while, I will also enter that secret realm. Chaji-yu opened his mouth, and Yichu nodded after hearing what Chaji-yu said. At this time, Yamozi was also watching Yichu closely. He didn't know what the secret realm Yichu said was like. Okay, we've already met Mr. Baihua, and we should go down and take a rest at this time. Yichu opened his mouth, and then Yichu walked down with Yamozi. It didn't take long for them to live in this magic city after him. Yichu and Yamozi lived in the same room. When Yichu and Yamozi walked in, Yamozi couldn't wait to ask Yichu. Yichu, what happened before? What happened to the secret realm you mentioned earlier? How did you let you enter that WeChat account? What happened to that secret realm? What exactly is inside? Dangerous. Yamozi opened his mouth, and after hearing Yamozi asking, Yichu also began to answer. That secret realm was said to be dominated by demons after he disappeared, and found a secret realm in his shrine. That secret realm is very mysterious, and I heard that there are many dangers in it, but I think there may be secrets and opportunities in it. So I think I also want to get in there." Quote. Yichu opened his mouth, and after hearing what Yichu said, Yamozi was also a little surprised. Yamozi's complexion also changed slightly. "Yichu, in my opinion, Baihua must have bad intentions for you to enter that secret realm. Maybe he wants to use you to see some dangers in your secret realm." Yamozi opened his mouth. After hearing what Yamozi said, Yichu also nodded. He thought the same thing as Yamozi. "Yamoshi, I know what you said is indeed right. It is indeed possible that Baihua wanted to plot against me, but even so, I'm not very worried, because when he plotted me, I was also calculate her." Yichu opened his mouth, and after hearing what Yichu said, Yamozi's expression relaxed a little bit. Since Yichu had a bottom line in her heart, she would also relax a little bit. "But Yichu, what should I do if you enter that secret realm?" Yamozi opened his mouth. After hearing what Yamozi said, Yichu was silent for a while, and then Yichu spoke up. "Yamozi, if you tell Baihua at that time, Baihua will definitely let you and me enter that secret realm together. In this case, there will be no problem. If the two of us are together, we can take care of you." Yichu spoke, and Yamozi nodded, and then they began to rest. After a day passed, Cha-Ji-Yu also came to Yichu's place. "Yichu, I said before that when you come to this magic city and meet Lord Baihua, I will take you around this magic city for a while." Tgu opened his mouth. "There are many interesting places in this magic city. There are also many delicious food and many places suitable for relaxation, so Cha-Ji-Yu also wants to take Yichu out for a walk." Moreover, in his eyes at this time, Yichu might be about to reach a high level, so he also wanted to get closer to Yichu. After hearing what Cha-Ji-Yu said, Yichu also nodded. Anyway, there was still a period of time before they entered the secret realm, so this time was relatively free, so it was okay to follow Cha-Ji-Yu to this magic city. "Yichu, are you going to wander around this magic city with Cha-Ji-Yu?" At this time, Yamozi came out and said this. After hearing what Yamozi said, Yichu also nodded to see it. After Yichu nodded, Yamozi also had a little yearning in his heart. "Yamoshi, let's go, follow us to the magic city, you will not be disappointed." Yichu opened his mouth, and after hearing what Yichu said, Yamozi was also a little overjoyed, and then Yamozi ran out in a hurry. "Haha, indeed, Yamozi, you can follow us to the magic city for a while, this time we can relax for a while." Seeing that Yichu invited Yamoshi to go with him, Chigu didn't refuse anything, Chigu said. So the three of them looked very happy and walked towards the magic city. Not many years later, they wandered around the magic city. After wandering around in the magic city, they have a better understanding of the magic city in their hearts, and they also like it more. Although this magic city is very different from the customs in their Dragon Ball world, but also don't have a flavor. Yichu also saw a lot of treasures here, and these treasures made Yamozi very surprised. When Yamozi saw some treasures, because Yamozi had no money, Cha-Ji-Yu even helped him buy them. After coming down, Yamozi was also a little happy. Cha-Ji-Yu also wanted to help Yichu buy something, but Yichu refused. "It's okay, Chigu, we are already very grateful for the things you helped Yamozi buy. You don't need to help me buy anything, because I also have a lot of things and don't need these things." Yichu opened his mouth, and after hearing what Yichu said, Cha-Ji-Yu also had some regrets in his heart, because the person he wanted to please the most was Yichu, but at this time Yichu said that he didn't want anything, and Cha-Ji-Yu had nothing. Method. Although Chigu didn't really believe Yichu's words in his heart, Yamozi believed in Yichu's words very much, because Yamozi knew in his heart that Yichu had a lot of treasures. He was in the Dragon Ball universe before. "When I went up, I took out a lot of strange treasures." At that time, Yamozi was very surprised, and at this time, Yichu still had many treasures that he had not displayed. Yamozi didn't know, but Yamozi could also guess that Yichu still had a lot of treasures. Cha-Ji-Yu took Yi-Chu and Yamozi around the Magic City, and went to a very luxurious restaurant to eat for a while. In this restaurant, it is said that there is the most famous food in the entire demon world, and it is also the most delicious food. After eating it, Yi-Chu felt that his power seemed to have increased a little, and the most rare thing was that this increase in power, it's not just a temporary increase, it's a permanent increase, and it's not just a little bit more. 244. Dominate the shrine 2/6. Haha, Yi-Chu is really good. I feel that my strength has increased. This time the meal is really worth it. When Yamozi spoke, he was also very excited in his heart. After seeing Yamozi like this, Chigu also laughed. He spent a lot of money on this meal, and there are not many people who can eat this meal in the world of demons, and everyone can be said to have a distinguished identity. Chigu himself has not been here a few times in his usual time, but this time, because of Yi-Chu and Yamoshi, he also came here to invite them to eat once. Haha, Chigu, you entertained us like this time, and I feel very sorry in my heart. If there is a chance in the future, maybe I will pay you back. Yi-Chu opened his mouth, and after hearing what Yi-Chu said, Cha-Ji-Yu also laughed. Haha, Yi-Chu, you have helped me so much before. If it weren't for you, I might have caused a lot of losses. What is this little compensation? These are all things you deserve. Say, to be honest, I promised you a lot of things before, but I didn't give you anything, which made me feel very ashamed all the time. Quote. Cha-Ji-Yu opened his mouth. This was also what he really thought in his heart. After hearing what Cha-Ji-Yu said, Yi-Chu also smiled lightly, and then the matter was over. There are many interesting places in the Magic City, but they didn't go to all of them, because for Yi-Chu, what he cares most about is improving his own strength. So he didn't particularly care about other things, but Yamozi seemed to be enjoying himself when he was playing. But even so, they played for nearly a day, and only returned to the room at night. After returning to the room, Yamozi lay on the bed and began to rest. This time he also played very well, and a smile appeared on Yamozi's face. Yi-Chu, after today's trip, I can't bear to leave the Magic City. Yamozi was lying on the bed, squinting his eyes, and said in a very comfortable manner. After hearing what Yamozi said, Yi-Chu also frowned. Yamozi, I hope you don't forget where we came from, and I hope you don't forget what we are here for, and I hope you don't forget what we are going to do in the past few days. Yi-Chu opened his mouth. Yi-Chu's words were like a basin of cold water sprinkled on Yamozi's face, making Yamozi instantly sober a lot. Okay, Yi-Chu, I know, I will definitely not say such words again. When Yamozi spoke, he was also very serious, feeling that he had indeed passed it this time. It didn't pass. After some time, Yamozi fell asleep, while Yi-Chu stood at the door of the room, looking at the night sky in the demon world. There is no moon in the night sky in the devil's world. It looks like a darkness, endless darkness, and the night is also very quiet, but there are occasionally some strange sounds, and I don't know when it came out. The sound of. For Yi-Chu, he was able to see things clearly in the dark night, but at night, he could see a little less than usual. In fact, at this time Yi-Chu didn't have anything to do if he didn't rest, because at this time his strength was already incomparably powerful, but because of the reason he lived in the earth in the previous life, Yi-Chu still habitually fell asleep. And when Yi-Chu fell into sleep, he felt that his body seemed to be more in tune with the heaven and the earth, his mind would become very clear, and problems that he usually couldn't figure out would be solved easily, so Yi-Chu also quickly entered deep sleep state. Yi-Chu, Yamozi and others stayed in the Magic City for a while, and when their time passed, it was also the time that Baihua and Yi-Chu agreed. Ellipsis 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 ellipsis. Yi-Chu, the secret realm found in the Lord God Palace is about to be opened. Lord Baihua also asked us to gather together and follow him into the secret realm. Cha-Ji-Yu came over and said. After hearing Cha-Gu's words, Yi-Chu also nodded, and then Yi-Chu and Yamoshi got up together. The two of them had already made all the preparations. Into that secret realm. Immediately afterwards, Yi Chu and Yamosi had already stood beside Cha Ji Yu, and the three of them were also rushing towards the Baihua shrine. It didn't take long before a few people arrived next to the Baihua shrine. And after arriving next to Baihua shrine, Yi Chu's eyes narrowed slightly, because at this time Yi Chu had already seen Baihua and the others waiting in front of the shrine. Yi Chu, you finally came here. I have been waiting for you for a long time. Seeing Yi Chu and the others coming here, Baihua also opened his mouth and said, his heart was already full of urges, and he could not wait to enter that secret realm. In the past, the reason why he did not enter the secret realm that dominated the shrine was only because the secret realm was closed. Until today, that secret realm was completely opened. Okay, since you are all here, we can also set off. Everyone is ready to follow me into the secret realm. Baihua opened his mouth, and the dormitory Baihua rushed everyone towards the Lord's shrine, because the entrance to the secret realm was inside the Lord's shrine. At this time, Yi Chu also discovered the people that Baihua had brought over. This time, Baihua not only brought them, but also brought some master tiles. Good achievement. The strength of each of these masters is very good, and the worst is the master of the Quanwang cultivation base, and Yi Chu has not been idle during this period of time, and his strength is constantly improving. Today, Yi Chu can defeat an opponent with the full power of the king with one hand. The shrine of the ruler is also in the Magic City, which makes people a little surprised that compared with the shrine of the six great devils, the shrine of the ruler is actually in a relatively remote place, but when it is near the shrine of the master, Yi Chu was also slightly startled in his heart. The lord of the shrine stood in front, and it didn't look very big, but living in the shrine was filled with an incomparably strong power, and even everyone present had an urge to kneel. The aura emanating from the shrine seemed to be the aura of the Lord of the Heavens and Earth, which made Yi Chu very surprised. 245. Entering the secret realm of domination, 3/6. The demon lord is worthy of being the lord of the demon world. Judging from the aura emanating from the demon lord's shrine, his own strength has reached the point where he does not know how powerful it is, but such a powerful demon lord, at this time, it has disappeared without a trace, and I don't know what happened. Quote. Yi Chu looked at this shrine and praised in his heart. Okay Yi Chu, let's hurry into the Dominion Divine Palace, the entrance to the secret realm is inside. Baihua opened his mouth, and the next moment, they had already entered the Lord's shrine, and after entering the Lord's shrine, the previous feeling of mighty power disappeared in an instant, causing Yi Chu's heart to be slightly surprised. Yi Chu's pupils also shrank when they entered the Demon Lord's shrine, because they saw an aperture in front of them. This aperture must be the entrance to the legendary Lord's secret realm. At this time, at the entrance to the secret realm of the shrine dominated by the devil, there are 5 masters standing beside them. Each of these 5 masters is extremely powerful, and they can compete with Biwa faintly. Presumably these are the 5 remaining demon supremes except Biwa. Each of them is extremely strong, and they are a little stronger than me. Yi Chu thought in his heart that right after this time, the 5 supreme beings also felt the presence of Baihua, and then they turned their heads. Immediately afterward, they saw Baihua and Yi Chu and the others rushing over. When they saw Baihua and the others, the expressions on the faces of these 5 supreme beings were also different. One of the supremes looked calmer, another had a smile on their faces, and I also had 2 that looked malicious. Biwa, you are finally here, is this the person you brought? Then this handsome young man should be Yi Chu. At this time, a supreme opened his mouth and said to Baihua, his name is Bengshan. Bengshan is also one of the 5 supremes, and he and Baihua are allied. That's right, his name is Yi Chu. Yi Chu came to say hello to Bengshan. At this time, Baihua opened his mouth with a smile on his face. Just as Yi Chu was about to say hello to Bengshan, there was a supreme being next to him who also opened his mouth. Baihua, you are so bold. You dare to bring Yi Chu here. Don't you know who Yi Chu might be? He might be someone from the Dragon Ball universe BI, and he will bring us great things. Disaster. One of the supremes came out and said this. His name is Feng Yi, and Feng Yi is also Baihua's mortal enemy. Feng Yi was also very suspicious of Yi Chu in his heart, and even wanted to kill Yi Chu, but at this time, because Baihua was protecting Yi Chu tightly, Feng Yi couldn't do anything to Yi Chu. Feng Yi, I know you really want to kill Yi Chu, because Yi Chu's talent is too powerful, and his future achievements may not be lower than ours. Don't you just want to kill Yi Chu? Don't talk about anything else in the Dragon Ball universe. Baihua opened his mouth, and after hearing Baihua say this, a little bit of anger appeared on Feng Yi's face. Baihua, I'm not just talking nonsense, you'll regret it later. Feng Yi spoke, and after she said that, Baihua also snorted coldly. She didn't care much about Feng Yi's words, because he felt that Yi Chu knew a lot about Yi Chu in his heart, and even had the feeling of winning. Feng Yi, I advise you to take care of yourself. This time the secret realm is very dangerous. I hope you don't die in the secret realm. Baihua opened his mouth, and he was also very rude. After hearing Baihua's words, Feng Yi's anger grew even more. At this time, Feng Yi was about to fight back against Baihua, and then there was a master stood up and stopped the two people from fighting. Enough. His name is Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi is also one of the 5 masters. Chi-Chi's chi is extremely terrifying. His strength is even more terrifying than Feng Yi and Baihua. Chi-Chi looks like a bulge of muscle mass. And what he is best at is strength. After hearing Chi-Hu say this, Baihua and Feng Yi didn't say much, and then they stood around and waited for the secret realm to open. After a long time, a faint light began to emit from the aperture of the secret realm. In the past, the light above the aperture of the secret realm was very faint, and it looked like an illusory light. At this time, the light above the aperture of the secret realm was even more flaming. Up, it looked like a small sun radiating light. The light above the aperture of the secret realm shines brightly. It seems that it has reached a peak after a long time. The rays of light make some people present unable to open their eyes, and then the light above the aperture of the secret realm begins to fade again, and what appeared before everyone's eyes was a gate that seemed to be between the real and the unreal. This gate appeared in front of everyone at this time, and there was also a mysterious breath inside the gate. It seemed to be a space force, but in addition to space power, there seemed to be other power auras. Let's go inside immediately, and we don't know what will happen after entering. At this time, Chi-Chi opened his mouth. After Chi-Chi opened his mouth, the other Supremes also nodded, and then all of them walked into the entrance of the secret realm. Baihua took Yi Chu and the others into the entrance of the secret realm. After everyone entered, their vision began to change continuously, and then everyone found themselves above a high sky, and at this time they were falling from the high sky towards the bottom. Everyone's faces looked a little panicked, and Yi Chu was also a little surprised. Because at this time, Yi Chu felt that they didn't know why. Although they possessed the ability to fly, they couldn't fly at all here, and could only keep falling toward the ground. Boom boom. It didn't take long for everyone to fall to the ground one after another. They fell to the ground from a high altitude, but because of their strength, they were not physically hurt. Strange. I don't know what kind of power there is in this secret realm, so that we can't fly in the air. Baihua patted the dust on his body, frowned, stood up, and said. 246. Monsters in the Forest 4/6. At this time, all the people had already fallen to the ground, and they also discovered that after entering this secret realm, they could no longer fly, which means they could only walk on the ground. This secret realm originally seemed to be extremely huge, and if they could only walk now, it would take more time to explore this secret realm. But it is precisely because there is such a powerful power of rules in this secret realm that other people's hearts are also a little excited. There are such powerful rules in this secret realm, which means that this secret realm must be very difficult, and the hidden secrets and treasures may be more precious than we imagined. Baihua spoke up, and after hearing her say that, the others actually nodded. At this time, everyone is standing here, and they are surrounded by a jungle. They are falling into a jungle at this time. This jungle looks very lush, and the trees inside are towering. The jungle is very big, and some strange sounds are heard from time to time. I don't know what animal is making it. There should be some dangers in this jungle, but there are also some opportunities. If we walk together, maybe the opportunities we encounter are not enough for us to share, so I suggest that it is better for everyone to be separated." At this time, Baihua looked around and said, and after hearing Baihua say this, Bengshan and Chihu Tilda also nodded. "Baihua, you're right, we really should be separated, otherwise I'm still worried, and you'll come and grab it after I find a good baby." Feng Yi opened his mouth, and after hearing what Feng Yi said, Baihua also snorted coldly, but Baihua didn't say much, because he really thought so in his heart. "Okay, don't talk about it, let's go separately." At this time, Bengshan opened his mouth. After hearing Bengshan's words, everyone nodded, and then they began to divide into 6 groups. Yi Chu and Yamosi's people also walked with Baihua. Everyone was divided into 6 teams and went in 6 directions, and they didn't know what they would meet in the future. "Okay, let's go now. Everyone is following me closely. Be careful not to scatter. After all, we don't know much about the dangers hidden in this secret realm." After Baihua said this, Yi Chu and the others also nodded. Immediately after, Baihua took Yi Chu and Yamosi, and they headed towards the northwest. The northwest direction seemed to have nothing to do with other directions. But in the past, when Yi Chu fell from the sky, he saw that there seemed to be a snow mountain in the northwest. The snow mountain was very huge. As long as they kept walking in the northwest direction and then passed through this forest, maybe you can see that snow mountain. Yi Chu faintly felt that there must be a lot of secrets hidden in the snowy mountain, because when he was in the air before, he felt that the snowy mountain was very difficult. Immediately after, Yi Chu followed Yi Chu and the others through the jungle. Their speed was not particularly slow, but the forest was also very large. After walking for a while, they also encountered some strange monsters. The strength of these monsters is generally very powerful, but fortunately, they have not encountered very powerful ones, and they were all killed by Biwa. Ow! At this time, there was a howl of a wild beast in the distance. This sound even made the whole voice seem to tremble, and the sound was not far in front of Yi Chu and the others. When he heard this voice, Baihua also frowned, because in this voice, he also sensed some dangerous information. "Be careful, there's a big guy ahead, I think we'd better go around now." After Baihua said this, Yamosi also nodded. To be honest, when the voice came over, Yamosi also had some fear in his heart. After seeing everyone nodding, Baihua also walked to the side with everyone. They wanted to avoid the place where the sound came from in front of them. If you do, you might lose some people in the end. Then Baihua thought good things, and after taking them away for a while, Yi Chu frowned. At this time, Yi Chu felt a dangerous aura coming from behind him. Flowers. Baihua obviously sensed it too, and then the two of them turned their heads. Even when they turned their heads, Yi Chu's eyes narrowed, because the jungle behind them began to tremble continuously. Immediately after that, a behemoth came out of the forest. It was a monster that looked like a tiger, but it had 2 wings, black evil runes all over its body, and its aura was very fierce. Damn, what kind of monster is this? At this time, Baihua also changed his face, and said this, the aura on the monster was very terrifying, and Baihua and Yi Chu also sensed that this monster was the one who roared just now. He actually sensed several people, then chased after him. Ellipsis 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 ellipsis. This monster doesn't seem to be able to speak, but his strength is incomparably huge. He looked at a few people as if he saw a few lambs. A few red lights appeared in his eyes, and he licked his lips. Some the liquid flowed down, his saliva. Be careful, it wants to eat us. At this time, Yi Chu opened his mouth. In fact, Yi Chu opened his mouth and said this. Everyone felt the mind of this monster, and they also felt a little chill in their hearts. Roar. At this moment, the monster jumped forward, then swooped on the bodies of several masters in Baihua's team, and then tore up the master's body, swallowed it into his own mouth, and then followed the monster. He shouted in the sky again, and his momentum looked extremely majestic. Everyone be careful, it looks like we're going to have a fight. At this time, Baihua also frowned and spoke. After Baihua said this, everyone became nervous. Those with weapons picked up their weapons, and those without weapons also stood up straight and prepared for battle. Yi Chu, isn't your strength very strong? It's time for you to appear at this time. At this time, Baihua opened his mouth and said, after hearing what Baihua said, Yamosi's heart froze slightly, because at this time, Yamosi felt in his heart that Baihua wanted Yi Chu to take on the most dangerous things. At 247. One sword kill, 5/6. After hearing Baihua say this, Yi Chu was silent for a while, then Yi Chu nodded. Okay, if that's the case, then I'll meet his attack head-on, and then, Lord Baihua, look for his weakness from the side, and then kill him with one blow. Yi Chu opened his mouth and knew what Baihua was thinking, but he wasn't too afraid in his heart. After hearing that Yi Chu accepted his answer so quickly, Baihua was also a little surprised, because no matter how he looked at what Yi Chu needed to do at this time, it was extremely dangerous. Yi Chu agreed so quickly, which made Baihua a little surprised. Didn't Yi Chu know that if he did, he might even be in danger? Okay, if that's the case, Yi Chu, go attack with me, don't worry, wait for the 653 meeting. If you are in danger, I will definitely help you. Baihua opened his mouth and said. Yi Chu also sneered in his heart after Baihua said this, but Yi Chu didn't say anything, and then the two of them rushed towards this monster. As for this monster, I saw that two people dared to rush towards him. When they wanted to attack him, this monster was also extremely angry. I felt that the two people dared to challenge His Majesty, and then they also attacked the two people. Up. In this secret realm, the two people could not fly into the air, so they also fought the monster on the ground. When the monster raised its claws, there was endless claw wind, which came out from his claws, and the surrounding trees it was also cut off by him and thrown into the sky. The monsters were constantly attacking all around, and the other people around were also surrounded by monsters. They also wanted to find some opportunities and then come to help Yi Chu and Baihua. However, how could their strength be compared to Yi Chu and Baihua? Their attacks would have no effect on this monster at all. Instead, the monster had already killed several people in an instant, which made them feel the same way. Some panic. You all spread out. Only Yi Chu and I can attack this monster. Your strength is too weak. After going up, besieging this monster is just a matter of death. Baihua said. Not only did he feel sorry for these people, but he also saw this monster before. After killing these monsters, his strength actually increased a little bit, and Baihua also felt in his heart. There is a little bit of dread, that's why I said this. Even if Baihua didn't say such a thing now, other people's hearts were already a little timid, so they stopped besieging this monster. The monster charged towards Yi Chu, because Yi Chu was standing right in front of him at this time, so he also attacked Yi Chu. In fact, this monster also had some fears in his heart. When he saw Yi Chu, he felt that Yi Chu was a little bit more bullying, so he planned to kill Yi Chu first. With Yi Chu's current strength, he can actually defeat this monster, but he has to use his super game transformation. If he doesn't show his transformation, he needs some strength to defeat this monster. Seeing the monster attacking him, Yi Chu also closed his eyes. At this time, he also opened up his own field of freedom. The next moment the speed of the monster seemed to slow down, and then the monster's attack came towards Yi Chu, and Yi Chu also seemed to be very thrilling to dodge the monster's attack. At this time, Baihua was also very surprised, because just now he thought Yi Chu couldn't escape, but he didn't expect Yi Chu to escape in such a thrilling way, and Baihua was also very surprised. Yi Chu is doing well, watch me attack him now. Baihua opened his mouth, and then Baihua took advantage of Yi Chu's opportunity to slap the monster's body with a savage palm. Immediately after that, a blood hole was shot by Baihua on the monster's body, and the monster also took a step back. But then he shouted up to the sky again, looking even more angry, and the attack seemed to be more violent. His defense is so strong, it seems a little tricky. Baihua said, he originally thought that he attacked like this just now, even if he didn't kill the monster, he could seriously injure the monster, but he didn't expect that he just punched a hole in the monster's body, and Baihua also frowned a little. Presumably if he wants to kill this monster, it will take some more time. It seems that it's not enough to use Baihua to kill this monster. He may waste more time, maybe it will really hurt me a little bit, so I can't keep defending, I should attack myself. At this time, Yi Chu thought in his heart. When Yi Chu thought this way, his eyes became sharp. Immediately after the monster attacked again, Yi Chu closed his eyes quietly. After seeing Yi Chu closing his eyes, Bai Hua was also a little surprised, thinking that Yi Chu was going to give up on him. Life. At this moment, the monster had already attacked Yi Chu, and Yi Chu also suddenly had a sword in his hand. This sword was also his divine sharpening sword. After he took out his divine sharpening sword, he swayed it fiercely. Yi Chu's divine sharpening sword was very fast, like a phantom. This was because Yi Chu had greatly improved his swordsmanship and his own strength during this period of time. On the other hand, it was also because Yi Chu had used the enhancement talisman to strengthen the divine sword. When Yi Chu's sword was raised, it was already covered with a bunch of sword flowers in the air, and the sword's body could not even be seen by the naked eye, and this was because of the strength of the people around him, so he could see a piece of it. Sword Shadow 2.9. At this time, the monster felt a sense of danger in his heart. The monster hurriedly twisted his body, gave up attacking Yi Chu in a thrilling moment, and then turned around his body. When the monster twisted his body, Yi Chu's sword also slid past the monster's body. The monster chose to avoid Yi Chu's attack in time, but because Yi Chu's sword still attacked the monster, a huge wound had already appeared on the monster's body. For 2. The monster suddenly retreated far away. It turned its head and looked at its body. When it was already covered with bruises, the monster's heart also became very frightened, and there were countless pains on its body, which swept into its brain. 248. Vast Snow Mountain 6/6. Immediately afterwards, the monster attacked Yi Chu frantically again, because he saw that Yi Chu had actually injured himself like this, and when he relied on this divine sword, the monster was also very resentful. Once, he also used his own unique trick, trying to tear Yi Chu to shreds. I saw that countless fishy winds appeared in the air, and these fishy winds also possessed this substantial attack ability, often surrounding Yi Chu's body. Moreover, Yi Chu felt an incomparably powerful deterrent force coming from the monster's body. If this deterrent force were replaced by Yamoshi and the others, they would probably kneel and bow down uncontrollably, but Yi Chu's figure but very tall. It's a stupid monster. Now you don't choose to run away, but you still attack me. If that's the case, I'll take your life. Yi Chu opened his mouth, and immediately when the monster rushed towards him again, Yi Chu also raised his long sword. 15. Then Yi Chu raised his long sword, pointed it at the monster's head, and once again, stepped on the ground with his foot, and then Yi Chu rushed over at a very fast speed. Yi Chu and the monster crossed in an instant. Yi Chu's sword stabbed into the monster's chest fiercely, and when Yi Chu's sword pierced into the monster's chest, Yi Chu's body began to spin continuously. Yi Chu seemed to be fused with the divine sword, and his entire body was spinning extremely fast, which made the power of the divine sword even more terrifying. Immediately afterwards, Yi Chu stabbed in from the monster's chest, staggered past, and stood behind the monster. Yi Chu's figure is still very tall and straight, but the monster behind Yi Chu is divided into 2 parts, and the blood is dripping down. The scene looks very bloody and spectacular. Yi Chu patted his clothes, because there was still a little blood on his body. It seems that there is still a little flaw this time, and I accidentally stained me with a little blood. Yi Chu patted his clothes and said, after hearing what Yi Chu said, the surroundings were silent, because at this time everyone was extremely shocked. Yi Chu's strength is so strong. Cha Ji Yu opened his mouth. At this time, it was the first time he saw Yi Chu really show some strength. In fact, when Yi Chu was able to block the monster's attack before, he was extremely surprised in his heart. He didn't expect Yi Chu. He even took out the divine sword and defeated the monster at once. At this time, Cha Ji-yu also looked at Bai Hua from a distance. Could it be that Lord Baihua knew that Yi Chu was so powerful, so he asked Yi Chu to follow him to attack this monster? How did he know that Baihua's previous plan was to let Yi Chu act as a shield for him, but he didn't expect Yi Chu's strength to be so strong, which made Baihua very surprised. However, Bai Hua could also see that the reason why Yi Chu could defeat this monster was actually because of the divine sword in his hand. The divine sword is very dazzling and very sharp. It is a very precious treasure at first glance, and even Baihua is a little bit moved in his heart. Baihua felt in his heart that if he obtained this divine sword, perhaps his strength would be even stronger. Yi Chu, I didn't expect your strength to be so strong, and your sword is also a superb weapon, which surprised me. This time, choosing to let you and me attack this monster together is indeed a great deal. The right choice. Baihua opened his mouth. Hearing Baihua say this, Yi Chu smiled coldly in his heart, but Yi Chu had a warm smile on his surface. Thanks for the compliment, Mr. Baihua. The reason why I was able to kill this monster this time is indeed thanks to this divine sword. Yi Chu opened his mouth and looked very modest. After hearing what Yi Chu said, Bai Hua became even more yearning for the divine sword in Yi Chu's hand. But at this time, it was impossible for her to directly go up to grab this divine sword from Yi Chu, because this is the divine sword that was originally owned by Yi Chu. Moreover, Yi Chu could still be said to be his subordinate at this time. If she did this, she might make the people around her feel chilled, which was not good in Baihua's opinion. So she didn't do it now, but Baihua had already decided in her heart that if there was a chance in the future, she would definitely get Yi Chu's divine sword. Okay, now that we have dealt with this monster, we can continue to walk into the forest. At this time, Baihua opened his mouth, and after hearing Baihua say this, the others also nodded. Then Yi Chu also quietly stood in the team again. He looked very calm, and Yamozi also patted Yi Chu on the shoulder. His eyes kept flickering, indicating that Yi Chu must be careful afterward. Yi Chu nodded lightly, and then a few people walked towards the forest again. Not long after, Yi Chu and Bai Hua also walked out of the forest, and they were a little surprised when they walked out of the forest. At this time, standing in front of them was an incomparably tall snow-capped mountain. The snow-capped mountain was 10,353 points wide, and there were not many plants on the snow-capped mountain. There were a few birds flying on the snow-capped mountain. It was snowing heavily on the snow-capped mountains, and the forest looked very warm at this time, but it was indeed snowing heavily on the snow-capped mountains, and the scene looked very strange. I didn't expect that there would be such a vast snow-capped mountain here. If this snow-capped mountain is so tall after we go up, there must be a lot of opportunities hidden in it. Baihua opened his mouth, and his heart was also fluctuating when he looked at this snowy mountain, and his intuition told him that there must be precious treasures in this snowy mountain. Okay, maybe above this snowy mountain, you will get some opportunities of your own, so let's hurry up to this snowy mountain. Bai Hua opened his mouth. Yi Chu and the others also nodded after hearing Bai Hua say this. A group of people walked towards the top of the snow-capped mountain. Not long after that, they also walked to the top of the snow-capped mountain. After reaching the top of the snow-capped mountain, everyone began to feel a little cold. Strange to say, after everyone walked to this snow-capped mountain, no matter how powerful they were, they all felt a little bit of cold. It seemed that this cold time was not only for their bodies, but for their souls. 249. Snow Mountain Temple 1/6. Fortunately, this cold seems to be just pure cold, and there is no danger, so everyone is shivering all the way to the top of the snow mountain. But what Baihua and Yi Chu didn't know in their hearts at this time was that in the other 5 directions, some masters led by the other 5 supremes were also heading towards this snowy mountain. They walked in 6 different directions before, and then they didn't expect that they would all converge on this snow-capped mountain as they walked. Yi Chu and Bai Hua were walking on the snow mountain. After a while, Yi Chu's eyes lit up slightly, because at this time he seemed to have this temple in the distance of the snow mountain. The temple above the snow mountain looks very mysterious, and the entire temple looks white and very sacred, and I don't know what is hidden inside. At this time, Baihua also saw the temple above the snowy mountain, and her heart moved slightly. This shrine is not only sacred but also beautiful, and its temperament is also very good, so Baihua suddenly felt that there might be a great opportunity in this shrine. Lord Baihua, there is a temple in front of us, do we want to go there? At this time, Cha Ji-yu opened his mouth, and after hearing what Cha Ji-yu said, Baihua also nodded fiercely. At this time, apart from the heavy snow, the only thing they could see on the snow-capped mountain was this snow-white temple. If you enter this temple, where else can you go? Everyone is speeding up for me, and I feel that in this temple, we will surely find some precious treasures. Baihua opened his mouth, and then everyone started rushing towards the temple. It was very cold here, but everyone was not in any danger. After a while, they had already arrived around the temple. When he was around the shrine, Baihua was also a little overjoyed, because at this time, Baihua looked towards the shrine and found that the surrounding area of the shrine also looked very clean, as if no one came here all year round. Great, maybe we are the first to discover this temple, so we will enter this temple, and all the things in this temple will belong to us. Baihua opened his mouth. In fact, at this time, his heart was already a little bit eager to move. If they really found any precious treasures in this temple, he would take all these treasures for himself. If Yi Chu and the others wanted to compete with him, Baihua would also kill Yi Chu and the others. This was what Baihua had in mind. Everyone looked very excited. When Baihua was about to lead Yi Chu and the others into the temple, suddenly Baihua's face changed slightly. Because at this time, there seemed to be some rustling sounds in the distance, as if someone was walking on the snow. When he heard this sound, Baihua was also a little surprised in his heart. What's the matter? Did someone find this place too? Baihua thought in his heart, if someone also finds this place, maybe when they enter this temple, if they find any treasures, the competition will be even greater. At this time, Baihua saw these 5 people walking up in the distance. These 5 people are also the other 5 supreme beings. They all came here, and besides the 5 supreme beings, there are also masters brought by the 5 supreme beings. Follow the Wuda Supreme. Although the masters behind the 5 supreme beings are not as many as before, they may have lost some people on the way, but they also came here at this time. When he saw this scene, Baihua's expression also became gloomy. Before, he thought he could monopolize all the treasures in this temple, but at this time, all the 5 supreme lords rushed here, saying that he was under great competition pressure. 5 times as much. Hey, Baihua, are you here too? You guys actually came a little earlier today. At this time, Feng Yi also saw Baihua, and said, Feng Yi's expression was also a little surprised, and there was some disdain. I was the first to come to this place, and how did you guys find this place? Didn't we go separately before? In 6 different directions. When Baihua saw her, he was also very unhappy in his heart. After hearing Baihua say this, Chituch and Bengshan also stepped forward. We did go separately before, but we don't know how, and we all ended up in this place. Kaituch said with a very solemn expression, there are more secrets in this secret realm than they imagined. After hearing what Chituch and Bengshan said, Baihua also became silent. At this time, he could only accept this ending, because what would he do if he didn't accept it? The temple was standing in front of the temple at this time. Everyone was standing in front of the temple. There was heavy snow flying all around, and their hearts were also very cold. Then when they looked at this snow-white crystal huge temple, everyone was also excited. Although there is no great power found in the temple of this snowy mountain, his own temperament is extremely sacred, which makes everyone intuitively feel that there must be very precious treasures in this temple. What are you still doing? Let's go inside quickly. At this time, Chi-Chi opened his mouth, and after hearing what Chi-Chi said, Baihua could only sigh in his heart, and walked inside with Yi Chu and the others. Although this temple looked extremely sacred, Yichu didn't know what was hidden in this temple, but he always had some vigilance. This secret realm is extremely huge, but they don't know what happened. After everyone separated, they all gathered in this temple. You don't need to think about it to know that there must be some secrets hidden in this temple. There are some secrets hidden in this temple, but there may also be some hidden dangers. Without finding out what kind of dangers or secrets there are in this temple, in fact, everyone entered this temple hastily, which made Yichu feel in his heart. He also frowned slightly. Yamozi also saw Yichu's frowning expression, and his heart moved slightly. Yichu, do we really want to go inside? Yamozi walked to Yichu's side and asked softly. Yichu paused for a moment, and then nodded fiercely. 250. The Golden House in the Temple 2/6. At this time, Chi-Chi said, because he has a talent, that is, his nose is very sensitive, and he can also receive the breath of others across endless distances. He can not only smell the breath of living things, but also the breath of dead things. It can also be smelled, and the breath of the treasure can naturally be distinguished. After hearing Chi-Chi say this, the other demon supremes also became a little excited, because they had long known how accurate and reliable Chi-Chi's sense of smell was, so at this time they also became very excited. Get up, bitch. Since Kai-Touch said that there is a smell of this treasure in that place, it means that there must be a very precious treasure in that place. Go, Yichu, let's go to the place where the golden light is right away. Baiwa opened his mouth, Yichu nodded, and then everyone was already moving towards the place where Jin Guang was, and they didn't pass, and after all the time, they had already arrived not far from where Jin Guang was. So everyone saw what the golden light was before, and Yichu's pupils shrank a little. The place where the golden light came from was actually a house, and this house looked very resplendent. It turned out to be a golden house. At this moment, what surprised them in their hearts was not just this golden house, but the things that were placed in this golden house. What shocked everyone's hearts was that there were many treasures in this golden house. Each of these treasures was very precious to them, and the eyes of those who saw it immediately became a little straight up. Treasures, so many treasures, haha, this time it really happened. At this time, after seeing so many treasures in the distance, he was also very excited, and then he couldn't help laughing. He was originally such a character. Although Baihua was silent at this time, her heart was beating continuously. Even though they were the 6 supreme beings in the demon world, when she saw so many treasures in the golden house, her heart was beating continuously. At this time, it seemed that there was no danger around the golden house, as if the next moment they could enter the golden house and seize these treasures. Unlike Baihua and the others, Yichu furrowed his brows tightly. At this time, Yichu looked closely at the golden house and intuitively told him that there must be a problem in the golden house. What are you waiting for? Let's get inside quickly. Bengshan opened his mouth, and his heart was beating continuously. When he saw these treasures, he couldn't wait to enter this golden house. After hearing Bengshan say this, other people's hearts were also a little anxious. Be careful, there are so many treasures in this room, but they have been staying here and have not been taken away, so we also have to be careful. Maybe there are some very powerful restrictions or traps around this room. At this time, Baihua spoke, and Baihua's words were also the voice of others. 251. The Suppressed Evil Being 3/6. Yeah, let's examine the danger around us. Chi-Chi opened his mouth, and then Baihua and the other 5 supremes also stepped forward, and they checked around. But after they checked around the golden house for a while, they were a little surprised, because they didn't seem to find the slightest danger around the golden house. There is no danger in the surrounding area. It seems that we can directly enter it. Baihua opened his mouth, and his heart was also a little suspicious, while some supreme hearts were a little excited. Biwa, it has been checked now, and there is no danger. What are we still doing outside? Hurry in and take these treasures into your own hands, let's go. Bengshan said that he no longer wanted to wait outside, and then Bengshan quickly rushed towards the golden house. In an instant, Bengshan rushed into the golden house. After Bengshan rushed into the golden house, he stood in the golden house, and it seemed that he did not encounter any danger. After seeing that Bengshan did not encounter any danger, Baihua and the others, I was also a little surprised. Collapsing Mountain has already rushed in, and they are not in any danger. They are still standing outside, looking a little stupid. Yi Chu, let's go inside too. Don't let Bengshan take away all the treasures alone. Baihua said, and at this time, the other Supremes also rushed towards the golden house with their people. Cha Ji Yu also nodded, and Yi Chu rushed back to the golden house with Bai Hua and the others. In an instant, they all entered the golden room, and everyone entered the golden room, but they did not encounter any danger, which made everyone feel a little surprised. At this time, they were standing in the golden house. The golden house didn't look very big from the outside, but there was still some space when entering it, and it looked like a large hall. Everyone stood in the golden room. At this time, they saw a lot of treasures placed in the golden room. These treasures were placed in front, and each of them exuded some rich treasures, which made people feel very excited. Even Yi Chu, who was used to seeing treasures, felt a little fluctuating in his heart. The rich treasure light filled the golden house, making everyone feel extremely excited. Haha, treasure belongs to me. Bengshan rushed forward, and immediately held a treasure in his arms, and the others also set off and rushed to other treasures. When Bengshan took the treasure in his hand, he was also very excited, and then Bengshan picked up the treasure. When Bengshan picked me up, suddenly Bengshan's complexion began to change greatly. I saw that there was a huge attraction on the treasure held by Bengshan. This attraction constantly absorbed the spirit and energy in Bengshan's body. In just a short while, Collapse Mountain looked like a skeleton, and then his body fell to the ground with this treasure, and his body began to turn into smoke. Even if Bengshan is a demon family, their vitality is extremely powerful, and theoretically, they can be resurrected infinitely, but they have died in an instant. When they saw the collapse of the mountain like this, the people around them also became a little terrified. How is that possible? How can this happen? At this time, Baihua's complexion also changed greatly, and the others were also very cautious, and the figures who rushed towards those treasures before also began to stop. They have now faintly felt that something was wrong, and Yi Chu's eyes narrowed at this time, because at this time Yi Chu saw the treasure that was picked up by the collapsing mountain, and now suddenly began to lose its light. That treasure not only absorbed all the spirit and energy of collapsing mountain, but the treasure itself seemed to have lost all its luster. It also exuded a treasure that looked extremely precious, and it instantly looked like a street-side treasure. Everything is the same. Everyone frowned, intuition telling them that they had fallen into a trap. Immediately afterwards, something panicked in their hearts. They saw that all the hundreds of treasures around them suddenly began to float, and then they all lost their light. In an instant, these treasures that had radiated light before began to change. It became a very ordinary appearance, and then fell to the ground, and even some treasures were smashed. Question mark 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 question mark. Damn, what the hell is going on? Some experts said that they were also very panicked. At this time, everyone felt a very obscure aura coming from the bottom of this golden house, and this obscure aura was constantly growing. This aura seems to be very majestic, terrifying, and very evil. When they felt this aura, even Baihua's complexion changed greatly, because Baihua also discovered this aura, which was the one they felt before. A very powerful and dangerous atmosphere hidden in this shrine. After Yi Chu sensed this aura, his expression changed slightly. This golden house should have suppressed an extremely powerful master before, and these so-called treasures are used to seal that extremely powerful master. At this time, because we entered here, it is also a little bit to make this formation. It's broken, so the monster that was sealed under the golden house is beginning to reappear in the world. Yi Chu opened his mouth, and his expression was also very solemn. After hearing Yi Chu's words, invisible panic began to permeate the surroundings. Everyone's faces began to become a little panic. They didn't expect that they would enter this golden house and not get any treasures, and there might be a life crisis. Even the supreme beings of the 6 great demons were extremely frightened in their hearts, and the breath coming from under the golden house showed that the suppressed monster was not something they could contend against. One by one black gas began to permeate upwards from the bottom of the golden house. The black gas carried an incomparably majestic evil aura. After feeling this black aura, Yi Chu's complexion began to change a little. Because he had seen such black gas when he was in the Dragon Ball universe. It is absolutely not wrong, whether it is the evil dragon formed by the 7 Earth Dragon Balls, or the evil self who appeared strangely in the Dragon Ball world, there is such a dark and evil atmosphere. Inches. 252. The powerful strange being sealed, 4/6. The black chi continued to rise from the ground, with a very evil aura, making everyone's complexion change greatly. When the black chi continued to rise upwards, it seemed that a figure was about to form in the golden house, which made them even more panicked. No, the weird guy who was sealed under the ground is about to come out. Chi-Chi opened his mouth and said, and he was also very panicked at this time. Immediately afterwards, the figure holding the touch began to fly back, and he wanted to leave here as soon as possible. Yi Chu, let's get out of this golden house as soon as possible. At this time, Baihua also had some panic in his heart. Baihua said, after hearing Baihua's words, Yi Chu also nodded, and then Yi Chu took Yamosi and the others out of the golden house. 397s, of Yamosita left the golden house. The black energy in the golden room flourished, and then countless black energy gathered together, and a figure slowly formed. The figure became more and more real, and a very strange-looking person appeared on the spot in an instant. This man carries an evil aura. He is covered with black scales, with a very hard tail behind him. On both hands are hard claws. The claws glow with light. Insect pupils are normal. What the hell is this weirdo? Chagu's expression became very panicked, looking at the strange man who appeared in the golden room in the distance and said, "Giggle giggle." Immediately afterwards, the strange person made a few strange screams, and at this time, not all the people in the golden house escaped, and some people stayed inside, and there was even a demon supreme. "Be my food." After the strange man came out, he uttered these words, and then the strange man began to move quickly in the same place. The speed of the strange man was very fast, and even Yi Chu was very surprised. Brush brush. In an instant, the strange man's figure moved quickly, and he arrived in front of the few people who had not left the golden house, and then the strange man grabbed these people with his own claws. Like a beast, the geek rushed towards those who had not left the golden house, and then these people who had not left the golden house were instantly killed by the geek. The air was filled with blood mist, and the strange man was holding the corpse of a master in his hand, which he was chewing constantly in his mouth. At this time, there was still a demon supreme in the golden room that did not leave. This demon supreme, at this time, found that the eccentric also had a corpse of his subordinate in his hand, and slowly walked towards this demon supreme. This demon supreme could have left, but at this time he saw the corpse of the master held in the strange man's hand, and that master was this demon supreme's favorite expert. Damn, go to hell. At this time, the demon supreme actually attacked this strange person. After seeing the demon supreme attack, the strange person also had a humanized look of disdain in his eyes. This demon supreme was carrying a very powerful attack and attacked the monster, but the monster looked very calm, and then just when the demon supreme attacked, the monster just moved forward slightly. And then gently raised his hand, instantly catching the attack of the demon sovereign. Immediately afterwards, a powerful energy permeated the body of the weirdo. After this energy permeated the body of the demon supreme felt that his power was as small and ridiculous as a leaf of duckweed in the sea. Immediately afterwards, a lot of cracks appeared on the body of the demon supreme, and then the demon supreme's body began to shatter piece by piece, like a fragile porcelain being shattered by a geek. When he was about to die, his expression was very frightened, and he also regretted that he didn't leave in time before, but it was useless for him to regret it, and the Demon Supreme was dead in an instant. When Yi Chu and the others were seeing this scene outside, their expressions began to change drastically. Is this the power that belongs to the master level of the devil? At this time, Bai Hua also spoke. His face was also very panicked, and his heart was extremely frightened. This weirdo actually defeated a demon supreme with one move. It can be said that he is completely the strength of the demon lord. Even in Bai Hua's view, the strength of this strange person is even stronger than that of the demon lord. It's over, this time we're all going to die. This weirdo turned out to be the strength of the demon lord, maybe even stronger than the demon lord. How can we defeat him? Holding the touch standing in the distance, his face also looked very depressed, and he was very regretful in his heart, regretting that they were greedy for a while and entered this golden house, and they encountered such a thing. The expressions of Bai Hua and the others were also very panicked, because at this time, Bai Hua felt that as long as the weirdo came out of this golden house, he would be able to kill all of them. At this time, Yi Chu's brows were furrowed, but he was not too panicked, because at this time Yi Chu also discovered a little bit of the situation. He found that there seemed to be a few transparent chains behind the strange man, sticking out from the ground and tightly locking the strange man's body. The strange man glanced at the surrounding masters, and then the strange man began to rush towards the outside of the golden house. At this moment, the golden house suddenly began to shine brightly, and then a lot of golden chains appeared in the golden house. These golden chains were transformed from the air, and then tightly connected to the monster's body. Ow! 3.8. The geek wanted to rush out of the golden house, but those chains were tightly wrapped around him. I don't know how many chains there were, and they wrapped the geek's body so tightly that it seemed that the geek couldn't get out of the golden house now. Seeing this scene, Kai Touch, Bai Hua and other demon supremes also relaxed a little bit. If this strange person really came out of the golden room, they might be in great danger. Fortunately, this weirdo is controlled by the ban in the golden room, so he won't be able to come out in a short time. Maybe we can escape. Bai Hua opened her mouth, and there was some joy in her heart. After hearing Bai Hua's words, Chituch also nodded. 253. Trapped in Snow Mountain Shrine, 5/6. Don't be too happy, have you seen it at this time? The chain behind the weird man is breaking a little bit. It will take a few days before the chain will be completely freed by the weird man, and the weird man will definitely reappear in the world. Then it may be our death. Quote. At this time, Feng Yi opened his mouth and said, and when he heard Feng Yi say this, the others sat down and frowned, but Yi Chu nodded, because at this time Yi Chu also realized that it was indeed what Feng Yi said. What's the matter with this weirdo? We just need to leave this secret realm. The universe is huge. As long as we hide, maybe this eccentric person can't do anything to us. At most, it will make life in the universe go to waste. At this time, Chi-Chi said, Chi-Chi is an extremely selfish person, so at this time he feels that he can save his life. After hearing him say this, the other Supremes fell silent. They didn't like Chi-Chi saying this in their hearts, but they also agreed with the truth of 18 Chi-Chi. Biwa looked at the palace from afar. They didn't know how many secrets were hidden in the palace. At this time, they had not been to many places in the palace, but now they may not be able to explore anymore. So Bai Hua sighed, and then said to Yi Chu and the others, okay, it looks like we have to leave here first, otherwise I don't know what kind of danger we will encounter in a while. After hearing Bai Hua say this, the others nodded, and then, some Majin Supreme took their subordinates and flew outside. Yi Chu stood still, while Bai Hua flew outside. Yi Chu, why are you standing still? Bai Hua was a little puzzled in his heart, and asked Yi Chu. Lord Bai Hua, we cannot do without this palace, at least for now. Yi Chu opened his mouth, and after hearing Yi Chu say this, Bai Hua was a little panicked, not knowing why Yi Chu said this. Damn, this palace has been locked, and we can't live without it now. At this time, a demon sovereign who flew out of the palace before suddenly came back and said. After hearing this demon sovereign say this, the expressions of the others also became a little gloomy. Bai Hua's expression also became very gloomy. He didn't expect that they were really blocked here, as Yi Chu said. Damn it, I didn't expect that we would enter this palace and be really trapped here. After a period of time, if this weird person breaks the seal and comes out, I'm afraid all of us will die. Bai Hua opened his mouth, and Bai Hua's words spoke to everyone's heart, and then the surroundings became quiet, and there was a pessimistic atmosphere flowing around. No, there must be a way to leave. I don't want to die like this now. A master slumped on the ground and said, holding his head, his expression also looked very desperate. Everyone was very terrified, because all of them were trapped in this palace now, and it seemed that there was no way to escape. As long as a period of time has passed, if that weird person breaks the seal from the seal and comes out, I am afraid that all of them will die by then. There must be a way, there must be a way, I can definitely find a way out. A demon supreme murmured. He kept walking on the spot, and he was constantly thinking in his heart. Then Biwa looked around, and he found that there were still many places in the palace that they hadn't explored. Maybe in these other rooms, there is a way to escape. Everyone calm down, it's useless for us to be so chaotic now, we can only keep calm, and then look in the surrounding rooms, maybe we can find some ways to get out of here, and then ensure the safety of our own lives. Quote. Bai Hua said this, and after hearing Bai Hua's words, the other demon supreme also agreed in their hearts. Bai Hua is right, we should really calm down and look around. Maybe we can find a way to get out of here. When you open your mouth, he agrees with your words. Okay, since that's the case, then separate some people to look around. If anyone finds a way to get out of here, then tell everyone, so that we can all get out of here. At this time, Chituch stood up and said this. After hearing Chituch say this, the other people nodded. Although after they found a way to leave, whether they can share it or not is still a matter of choice, but they have only such a way now. Immediately afterwards, everyone began to spread out, and Yi Chu also followed Bai Hua and the others, and began to look around for a way to leave the palace. Yi Chu, let us carefully search around for a while, maybe we can find a way out, so we can be safe. Yamozi stood beside Yi Chu and said 847, feeling a little flustered in his heart. Don't be afraid, Yamozi, don't worry, we will be safe. After Yi Chu opened his mouth and heard what Yi Chu said, Yamozi was inexplicably relaxed. Immediately afterwards, they started to search in the surrounding rooms, but after searching for a while, they still didn't seem to find anything. After a period of time, Bai Hua led Yi Chu and the others to walk not far from the house, because Bai Hua and the other Majin Supreme agreed to search for a period of time, and then reconvene in this place, and then whether anyone is looking for it. The clues that came out were able to leave this palace. At this time, when Bai Hua brought Yi Chu and the others over, he also saw several other demon supremes walking towards this side, and then Bai Hua's heart throbbed. Because at this time, Bai Hua saw the expressions of other Majin Supreme being very ugly. Hand touch, have you found a clue to leave this palace? Bai Hua opened his mouth, but Chi Chi shook his head. After seeing Chi Chi shaking his head, Bai Hua felt a little uneasy in his heart. Bai Hua, you guys didn't find it either. He touched his mouth, and the other demon supreme looked very ugly, and they all shook their heads. 254. The mysterious figure in the palace, 6/6. Everyone has not found any clues to leave this palace, so they can only stay in this palace. I searched the surrounding rooms for a while, but I couldn't find any clues to leave the palace. Although we also found some treasures in it, how can we have these treasures at this moment? Maybe after a while, we will all die. No matter how precious these treasures are, they will have no effect. Chi-Chi opened his mouth and said, his tone was also very depressed. Although they did not fully explore the rooms in the palace at this time, they had already searched for 80% of the rooms at this time, so they were a little desperate in their hearts, because if they searched in the remaining rooms again if they don't get it, maybe they will all die after the weirdo cracks the seal. At this moment, the corner of Yi Chu's eyes suddenly twitched. At this time, Yi Chu saw a figure flashing past in a room in the distance. The figure was disheveled, and Yi Chiuming felt sharply that the state and aura of this figure seemed to be very abnormal. There seems to be an obscure and chaotic aura on the figure. Although this aura is very easy to be ignored, it is very terrifying if you feel it carefully. Who are you, that person? That person is definitely not a master brought by the 6 great demons supreme, so he may have been in this palace, and if he wants to leave this palace, he can find some clues on him. When Yi Chu thought of Yi Chu thinking like this in his heart, he was also pleasantly surprised, and then Yi Chu stood up abruptly. When Yi Chu suddenly stood up, Bai Hua was also a little surprised. Yi Chu, what are you going to do, tilde? Bai Hua opened his mouth, but at this time, Yi Chu suddenly rushed towards the outside. Yi Chu ran towards the room where he saw the figure just now. When he saw Yi Chu's action, Bai Hua was also very surprised. He wanted to catch Yi Chu and ask what Yi Chu had found, but Yi Chu felt that time was very tight at this time. If he didn't hurry up, if you go to catch up with that figure, maybe the figure will disappear completely in the next moment, and then he will not be able to catch up with that figure. Sorry, I'm going out first in a hurry. Yi Chu opened his mouth, and then he quickly ran towards the room where the figure was, and the next moment Yi Chu's figure disappeared in front of Bai Hua and the other demon supreme. Bai Hua was also a little surprised in his heart. He sat there dumbfounded, very surprised in his heart. He didn't expect Yi Chu to break free from his obstruction, which made Bai Hua re-evaluate Yi Chu's strength. What did Yi Chu find out? Why did he suddenly run out? At this time, Kai Touch also asked Bai Hua. He was also very surprised in his heart, and there was still some anger in his heart, because their status was the highest here, but Yi Chu saw that he didn't say hello the same way. And ran out. Hee, Bai Hua, I told you a long time ago, don't bring Yi Chu in. Let's see now, maybe he just runs out now and will cause us some trouble. Feng Yi stood beside him and said with a smile in his voice. After hearing what Feng Yi said, Bai Hua's complexion became a little ugly. Feng Yi, don't meddle in your own business. Yi Chu's strength is not as strong as ours. We have not found anything here. Yi Chu can cause such an impact after going out, even if he dies outside. It's all my business. That's all right. Bai Hua opened his mouth and felt some resentment in his heart that Yi Chu had just run out regardless of her obstruction. After hearing Bai Hua say this, Cha Gu's expression changed slightly. Lord Bai Hua, how can you say that? What if Yi Chu encounters any danger when he goes out? Don't say anything more. He ran out by himself. Even if he dies outside, it doesn't matter to me. Bai Hua glanced coldly at Cha Ji-yu and said. After hearing Bai Hua say this, Cha Ji-yu was also a little flustered in his heart, and hurriedly lowered his head. No matter what, he saw what happened just now, and felt that something was wrong with Yi Chu. At this moment, Yamozi was sitting next to Bai Hua and Chagu, and he was very curious about Yi Chu who suddenly ran out just now. Yi Chu must have discovered some great clues just now, that's why he ran out like this, but he definitely won't leave me here alone, and he will definitely come back after a long time. Yamozi thought so in his heart. Lord Bai Hua, don't worry too much, maybe Yi Chu found some clues and ran out, he will come back after a while, and he might give us some surprises when he comes back. Yamozi spoke, and Feng Yi sneered after hearing what Yamozi said. Hee, I know that you and Yi Chu have a very good relationship, so stop touting Yi Chu. Even if Yi Chu hadn't died outside, it's impossible to find any clues. We have already searched the surrounding rooms just now. Once again, where is there any clue to leave this palace, and is it possible to find out something based on Yi Chu's strength? Feng Yi said with a look of disdain on his face. After hearing what Feng Yi said, Yamozi was about to say something, but in the end he closed his mouth to Zhao Hao. End half. At this time, Yi Chu had already run into the room in the distance, but when Yi Chu ran into this room, he didn't find any of them, and Yi Chu was a little surprised at the clue of the man in black. Strange, the man in black was still here just now, where has he gone now? Yi Chu was also very puzzled when he thought about it, and then Yichu looked around and found that there seemed to be some turning roads in this room. Maybe the man in black ran into some corners in the depths of this room. Yichu thought of this in his heart, and then he quickened his pace and rushed towards this room. After Yichu walked for a while, he still hadn't found any clues, and he became a little puzzled. At this time, Yichu also came to the end of this turning road. 255. Surprise in the Deep Pit, 1/6. At this moment, Yichu lowered his head and was about to turn his head and walk back again, when suddenly his foot stepped on a brick next to the turning road. At this moment, something that surprised Yichu's heart happened. The brick he was stepping on suddenly fell, and a deep hole was exposed. And Yichu also fell into this pothole inadvertently. After Yichu fell into this pothole, his body kept falling, and Yichu landed in a great hall after a while. Yichu was standing in this hall at this time. He looked around, and he became a little surprised in his heart. This was a frozen hall, and the hall was filled with a lot of cold air. The cold air was very cold, but it didn't do much harm to Yichu's body. Yichu felt the energy in this hall, and was very surprised in his heart, because the energy in this hall was very strong at this time. There is such a strong and pure energy in this hall. Even if I sit here and do nothing, I feel that my strength is slowly increasing. Yichu's heart was very surprised. There was a lot of energy in this place, and there were some treasures scattered around. Each of these treasures was very precious. What the hell is this place? Why did I fall here? Looking around, Yichu was also very surprised. At this time, he intuitively told himself that he would definitely discover some secrets here, and maybe he could rely on the secrets discovered here and leave the palace. Yichu looked inside the hall at this time, and found that there was a hole not far from the hall. I didn't know what was inside the hole, and it looked very dark. There was also a stronger energy aura from the entrance of the cave, and then Yichu stood up and walked towards the entrance of the cave. When Yichu walked into the entrance of the cave, his face was also slightly frowned, because at this time Yichu found that although there was a very strong energy inside the entrance of the cave, the cold air here was also more intense. Yichu immediately entered the cave, and when Yichu entered the cave, an extremely strong cold air rushed towards Yichu's body. These cold air seemed to freeze Yichu's thinking, which made Yichu feel a little surprised. But Yichu still endured the cold air, and then walked some distance into the cave. I don't know how deep the hole is, but after Yichu walked a distance, he finally stopped. At this time, the cold air was freezing around Yichu. Yichu's body kept shivering, but Yichu's heart was very happy, because at this time, the energy around him was extremely rich, and it even turned into some liquid gas. These energy fluids kept pouring into Yichu's body independently, and Yichu felt that his body was constantly getting stronger. In a short period of time, I instantly feel that my combat power has improved a lot. As long as I practice in this place for a period of time, maybe I can break through to the state of Super Saiyan IV. Yichu thought of this in her heart, and she was also very pleasantly surprised. Then Yichu sat cross-legged in the hole. After Yichu sat down in the hole, the energy fluid around Yichu's body flowed continuously. The influx of Yichu's body also began to continuously improve. Yichu sat quietly on the spot, he closed his eyes, and his heart was full of joy. At this time, Yichu felt that his strength was greatly improving every minute and every second. Even more than doubled. As long as I practice here for a period of time, maybe I can break through to the state of Super Saiyan IV. In this case, even if I can't leave this palace after going out, I may be able to compete with that weird person. There will be any danger. Yichu did this in his heart, and then he also began to enter the state of cultivation. System, open the character template. Yichu thought of this in his heart, and immediately the system opened Yichu's character template, and in Yichu's character template it was written that Yichu had reached level 107 at this moment. After Yichu came to the Devil's World for a while, his strength has also improved a little, and his level has also improved a little, so his level is now level 107. Moreover, Yichu's combat power is also displayed on the character template. At this moment, Yi Chu's combat power is also constantly improving on the character template. DD congratulations to the host for reaching level 108. Quote. DD congratulations to the host for reaching level 109. Quote. ... After a short time, Yi Chu opened his eyes again. At this time, his eyes were also full of surprises, because in this short period of time, Yi Chu had already cultivated to level 111. Yi Chu has reached level 111 at this time, and his strength has also been greatly improved. The most important thing is that at this moment Yi Chu has finally broken through to the state of Super Race God IV, and he has also obtained several upgrade packages. Yi Chu clenched his fists. He felt a steady stream of power in his body. If I go out at this moment, even if I can't leave this palace, I must be able to fight against that evil monster, so I can save my own life. Yi Chu thought this in his heart, because his strength has improved, so his senses are also more sensitive, so at this time Yi Chu can also feel some things in the palace. This time Yi Chu feels that the strange person in the palace is at this time. The seal has not been completely cracked. In other words, Yamoshi and the others are also in danger for the time being. Yi Chu felt a little relieved when he thought of this. Yi Chu looked at the entrance of the cave in front of him. Since the strange man hadn't broken the seal at this time, it would take some time before he could break the seal, so Yi Chu also planned to continue exploring the cave. Because at this time, Yi Chu had already obtained such great benefits when he just walked here. If he went deeper into the cave for a little longer, he might encounter some kind of benefits and secrets. Let me explore the secrets of this cave. Yi Chu thought so in his heart, and then he stepped forward and walked into the cave. Not long after that, the figure of Yi Chu had disappeared into the cave. Yi Chu kept walking inside. After a period of time, Yi Chu finally reached the innermost part and walked out of the cave. 256. Find the mysterious man in black 2/6. When Yi Chu walked out of the hole, his heart also became a little surprised, because at this time Yi Chu realized that he had walked into a small room. In this small room, there was a figure standing at this time. This figure was the man in black that Yi Chu had seen before. Although the man in black was standing in this small room with unkempt hair at the moment, he looked at Yi Chu and kept smiling. Who are you? And Yi Chu's expression became a little wary, because at this time Yi Chu found that the aura of the man in black was also very strong. Although the man in black looked crazy at the moment, he might be against him in the next moment. Attack! Hey hey hey! The man in black continued to smile at Yi Chu at this time, and then he turned around and was about to run towards the distance again. Yi Chu also sneered when he saw the action of the man in black. He had let the man in black leave in front of him before, but this time he would not let the man in black leave in front of him. Then Yi Chu chased after the man in black. What surprised Yi Chu was that although the man in black looked crazy at this time, he had a lot of powerful power in his body. Yi Chu also took a little effort to stop the man in black. And when Yi Chu stopped the man in black, Yi Chu quietly looked at the man in black, and the man in black also looked at Yi Chu blankly at this time. Yi Chu was also extremely surprised at this time. Because at this time, Yi Chu discovered that the man in black was also a devil, and the devil's aura on the man in black seemed to be stronger than the devil's aura on the masters of the devil. With such a powerful combat power in this world, and the aura of the devil is more than that of the 6 great devils, who can be more intense? Are you the lord of the demons? Why did you end up like this? Yi Chu looked at the crazy black-clothed man in front of him and asked. At this time, he was basically certain in his heart that the man in front of him was the legendary, powerful and terrifying demon master. Master of demons, hee. Master of demons, hee. The man in black kept giggling, and Yi Chu kept frowning when he saw the man in black like this. At this time, Yi Chu also discovered that the reason why the man in black was like this was not because he was what he was originally, but because the man in black was infected by a kind of power, so he became what he is now. Maybe I can help him remove this energy from his body, so that he can regain his original sanity and learn some information. Yi Chu thought to himself, and then Yi Chu was about to attack the man in black. Because at this time Yi Chu suspected that the man in black was the master of the devil, but the strength of the man in black at this time, because of his lack of clarity, so although he had powerful power, he was unable to display powerful moves. In this way, Yi Chu can defeat the man in black with less difficulty. Offended, Yi Chu clenched his fists towards the man in black, and then Yi Chu rushed over in the man in black, and when he rushed over, Yi Chu also activated his state of freedom and extreme willpower and transformed into a super race god. At this time, Yi Chu's super race god transformation has reached the 4th stage of super race god. Immediately afterwards, Yi Chu attacked the man in black, and when the man in black saw Yi Chu attacking, he raised his fist. Demons dominate, so he also has a lot of combat experience. At this time, the man in black actually blocked Yi Chu's attack a little by relying on his own fighting instinct. This also made Yi Chu feel a little surprised, but because Yi Chu was a Saiyan family, his combat power continued to increase during the battle. After a short time, Yi Chu knocked out the man in black. Looking at the man in black lying on the ground, Yi Chu also walked over, picked up the man in black, and placed it on the steps beside him. Yi Chu looked at the man in black. The man in black was in a very bad state at this time. He didn't seem to have any injuries on his body, but at this time, he could see that some energy was entangled in the soul of the man in black. These energies were entangled in the soul of the man in black, causing him to lose his mind, and Yi Chu also saw it. After a while, if the man in black did not solve this trouble, maybe he would become permanently demented. Question mark, question mark, question mark. At this time, the man in black was knocked unconscious by Yi Chu. Yi Chu also put his hand on the man in black, and when he put his hand on the man in black, Yi Chu also put his own consciousness after sinking into his mind. Yi Chu's body began to emerge a lot of his own energy, and this energy also went into the mind of the man in black. These energies were Yi Chu's spiritual energy. After these energies entered the mind of the man in black, it seemed like a spring breeze, and it began to blow away the evil forces entangled in the soul of the man in black. 0. After there was no time in the past, the evil energy on the soul of the man in black had been expelled by Yi Chu, and at this time the man in black slowly opened his eyes. The man in black slowly opened his eyes. His eyes were very majestic, and he seemed to have no emotion at all. Damn, why am I here? Who are you? At this time, the man in black held his head, then stood up and asked Yi Chu very vigilantly. The man in black looked at the scene around him and became a little puzzled. He also had some memories of these scenes, although it was not particularly clear. I remember, I was attacked by an evil monster before, and then turned into a state of confusion. Could it be that you rescued me just now? The man in black asked Yi Chu. Hearing the man in black asked, Yi Chu also nodded his head. After seeing Yi Chu nod, a grateful expression appeared in the heart of the man in black. It's true that you saved me before. I didn't expect that you could break the strange man's secret method and let me regain my sanity. I am also very grateful to you, because if it wasn't for you, maybe after a while, I would lose your mind completely. The man in black saw Yi Chu say this, and when he heard the man in black say this, Yi Chu also smiled. Evening. 257. Sober Demon Lord, 3/6. You should be the master of the devil. After Yi Chu opened his mouth to hear Yi Chu's question, the man in black was also stunned for a moment, and then the man in black nodded tightly. He was indeed the master of demons. After seeing the man in black nodding, Yi Chu also nodded. Sure enough, this man really is the master of the devil. Master of the devil, what happened before? Tell me about it. I think you were sealed by someone before, and maybe you will lose your mind completely after a long time. Fortunately, I found you early. Yi Chu opened his mouth. After hearing what Yi Chu said, the demon lord also told Yi Chu, because at this time, the demon lord also found that Yi Chu's strength was not low. You should have found this secret realm from my palace, right? But after 637 inches, I entered this secret realm, saw a golden house, and then went into the gold and picked up some treasures. The demon lord opened his mouth, and after hearing what he said, Yi Chu also nodded, and then the demon lord, Yi Chu, spoke out in detail. Actually, I had been secluded in my palace before, but after a period of time, I found that there seems to be a seal deep in my palace. This seal is very old, and I don't know where it exists. I'm afraid it appeared when the demon universe was formed. I was very excited, and then I opened the seal, and when I opened the seal, a secret realm appeared, and then I entered the secret realm. When I entered the secret realm, I also found there is a very terrifying monster sealed in the secret realm. Quote, I accidentally released that weirdo a little bit, and then I had a fight with that weirdo. I resealed the weirdo, but I also got the weirdest moves and fell into a state of confusion. If you didn't get in here in time, and then you rescued me, maybe after a while, I'd be a complete fool. The demon lord opened his mouth. After hearing what he said, Yi Chu also nodded. What the demon lord said was also something Yi Chu had learned. By the way, Yi Chu, if that's the case, how did you come to this place? What happened to you? The demon lord asked Yi Chu, and Yi Chu began to explain after hearing the demon lord like this. Immediately afterwards, Yi Chu told the demon lord about what happened in the demon world during this period of time, and when the demon lord heard this, his expression became more and more gloomy. These nasty guys are delusional about fighting for my place when I'm not around. When the demon lord opened his mouth, he also became angry in his heart. In his heart, he felt that after he went out, he must punish the 6 demons supreme. But it's because of them that you were able to come here at this time and bring me back to my senses. Immediately afterwards, the master of the devil said, as the so-called blessing and misfortune, who can know that a bad thing must be a bad thing? Devil Lord, what you mean is that the monster's strength is very powerful. Even when you were sober, you just sealed him up, but you almost died. Yi Chu opened his mouth, and his heart became a little surprised. If you look at it according to what the demon lord said, maybe the strength of that weird person is stronger than Yi Chu guessed. Yes, the strength of that strange person is extremely powerful, and the strength of the strange person you feel at this time is only because the strange person is sealed, so it has only such strength. If the evil strange person breaks the seal, then he will leave this secret realm, and then the entire demon universe will be wiped out, or even destroyed by him alone. I don't know why such a weirdo is like this. I only know that he has been in this place since the very beginning, even from the very beginning of the universe, and I also know that such weirdos are very terrifying and bloodthirsty. The purpose seems to be to destroy the world. The demon lord opened his mouth, and Yi Chu frowned. Yi Chu, you absolutely cannot let this weirdo escape from here, otherwise, I am afraid that the entire demon universe will encounter some danger. The demon lord looked at Yi Chu again, his tone was also very serious, and he wanted to invite Yi Chu to deal with the weirdo with him. After hearing the demon lord say this, Yi Chu became silent. He thought about it carefully, and he came to the demon world. At first, Yi Chu regarded the demon as an enemy, but at this time he thought about it. The face has also changed somewhat. Devil Lord, in fact, I have a secret, I don't know if I should tell you or not. Yi Chu spoke at this time, and after hearing Yi Chu's words, the demon lord was also a little surprised in his heart. However, Yi Chu also decided in his heart that if the demon lord doesn't mind his identity, maybe he can join forces with the demon lord. After all, this eccentric is indeed very ferocious, and the demon world demon is generally very violent and belligerent, and there are many bad people in it, but in general, there are also many innocent and loyal demons. Who can't have his own secrets? You can tell me your own secrets for me to see. When the demon lord opened his mouth, he was also curious and anxious. If they stayed here for too long, maybe the weirdo would break the seal as soon as possible, and after the weirdo broke the seal, he would also like to deal with him. 5.4 will become more difficult. Devil Lord, I don't know if you have heard of Dragon Ball Universe. Yi Chu opened his mouth, and after hearing Yi Chu say this, the demon lord was stunned for a moment, and then the demon lord nodded. Dragon Ball Universe. Why are you asking this? I do know about the Dragon Ball Universe, and even before, I plan to send someone to invade the Dragon Ball Universe. The Demon Lord opened his mouth, and Yichu also smiled after hearing the Demon Lord say this. The Lord of the Demons, I'm not afraid to tell you that I'm actually the person in Dragon Ball. If you don't mind this, I can join forces with you, but I hope you don't have any thoughts about our Dragon Ball universe in the future. Yichu opened his mouth, and after hearing what Yichu said, the Demon Lord's expression changed very wonderfully. 258. Despair. 4/6. Yichu, if you join hands with me to deal with the evil monsters, you will be the hero of the entire demon universe, and with such a powerful expert as you, it is impossible for us to invade the Dragon Ball universe, and even in the future, our two universes will still be alliances can be formed. Quote. The Demon Lord thought for a while, and looked at Yichu very seriously, and he thought the same thing in his heart. After hearing the words of the Demon Lord, Yichu was also very surprised, because Yichu did not expect that the Demon Lord would agree to his words so quickly. Devil Lord, is what you said true? Don't lie to me. If you lie to me, I will definitely not let you go. Yichu opened his mouth, and after hearing Yichu's words, the Demon Lord nodded his head quickly. His eyes looked very serious. Yichu also stared at the eyes of the Demon Lord, and after a while, Yichu also agreed. Okay, if that's the case, let's join forces this time to deal with the evil monsters. Yichu opened his mouth, and after hearing Yichu say this, Demon Lord's heart was also very pleasantly surprised. 18. Thank you, Yichu, don't worry, after this incident is over, I will not only form an alliance with you, but also give you a lot of compensation. Before, we also sent some people to enter the Dragon Ball world. Inside, it must have caused some trouble for you, and I will definitely make up for it. Quote. The Demon Lord opened his mouth, and Yichu nodded after hearing what the Demon Lord said. At this time, the Demon Lord felt that Yichu's strength was not too strong, but it was of great help. Moreover, the Demon Lord felt that Yichu could be exorcised before. The evil energy that the evil monster had exerted on the Demon Lord, let the devil dominate the heart, is also very surprised. Because this kind of evil energy came from the most terrifying move of that evil monster, since Yichu could diffuse this evil energy, he would definitely be able to play a great role in dealing with the evil monster. Let's go Yichu, if that's the case, let's go out and deal with that evil monster. The Demon Lord opened his mouth, and after hearing the Demon Lord say this, Yichu also nodded, and then the two stood up and walked towards the outside. Because at this time Yichu's strength has been greatly enhanced, and he also passed through this cold cave before. So when Yichu and the Demon Lord came out of here again, they didn't feel the cold as before. Not long after that, Yichu and the Demon Lord came out together. And this time outside, the evil monster is standing in the golden house at this time. The golden chains on his body have broken 90% at this time, and less than 10% of the chains are left unbroken. Wait until these chains are completely broken. At that time, it is the time when this evil monster emerges from this golden house, and at that time, everyone will probably die. At this time, all the demon sovereign and the masters brought by the demon sovereign all looked very depressed, and now their hearts are full of despair. Because during this period of time, they also searched all the rooms in the palace, but still did not find any clues to leave the palace, which made them very desperate. Hold touch, what else can you do? What should we do now? Bai Hua looked very panicked, ran to Kai Touch's side, shook his body and asked. After hearing Bai Hua's question, Kai Touch's expression still didn't change much, and his expression looked very naive. Chi-Chi raised his head and glanced at Bai Hua blankly. Bai Hua, what else can we do? In my opinion, we should just wait to die. Chi-Chi opened his mouth, and after hearing what Chi-Chi said, Bai Hua became even more depressed in his heart, because Chi-Chi's tone was full of despair, and Chi-Chi didn't even seem to want to stand up and do something else. The action seems to have completely accepted such a result. You must know that Kai Touch Lai is one of the 6 great demon supremes. It can be said that his strength is the most powerful in the world of demons, except for the domination of demons. At this time, Kai-Touch doing such a move also make everyone felt even more depressed in their hearts. The reason why Kai-Touch is doing this is because he deeply knows the power of this evil monster. In Kai-Touch's view, the strength of this evil monster may be higher than that of Demon Lord, but in Kai-Touch's heart, Demon Lord may be the most powerful expert he has ever seen, and Kai-Touch also feels that Demon Lord it is impossible for the Lord of Man to be defeated, and now this evil monster seems to be more powerful than the Lord of the Devil, so he is also extremely desperate. In vain, all in vain, what else can we do now? Chihu murmured, his face looked very desperate, and when he saw Chihu like this, Baihua also sighed. Although he was also very desperate in his heart, Baihua didn't do it like Chihu did. Maybe we have very little hope of escaping, but that doesn't mean there is no hope. As long as all of us in 850 are united, we can gain hope, and if we do nothing at all, we will never have any chance to escape. Quote. At this time, Baihua also stopped looking and holding the touch. Baihua looked around and said. After hearing Baihua's words, everyone was slightly startled. All of us here can be said to be the most powerful masters in the demon world. If our strengths can be united, we may not have the power to fight this evil monster. So I think in my heart, let's join hands now. In this case, maybe after the evil monster breaks the seal, we may be able to save a life. If we don't do this, we are completely hopeless. No, are you willing to join hands with me to fight together? Baihua looked around and said this out loud. After hearing Baihua's words, there were also faint waves in everyone's heart. Baihua, I am willing to join hands with you. Contrary to Baihua's expectations, the first person to open his mouth was Feng Yi. Feng Yi has always been very disgusted with Baihua, but at this time, Feng Yi has let go of his previous views and hatred of Baihua. Turned out to want to join forces with Baihua to fight against evil monsters. 259. Baihua's suggestion, 5/6. When he saw Feng Yi, Baihua's eyes also flashed a look of disgust, but since Feng Yi wanted to join forces with him, Baihua would not give up this opportunity. And their previous hatred is also a small matter. Okay, if that's the case, Feng Yi is the first to agree. Anyone who wants to live can stand by my side. Let's join forces to attack this evil monster in a while. Baihua opened his mouth, and after hearing Baihua say this again, the waves in everyone's heart became even bigger. After the small waves gathered together, it seemed to slowly form a monstrous wave. I do. Please, Lord Biva, let us to fight against the evil monsters. At this time, people all around stood up and said this. After seeing these people talking, Baihua's heart became ecstatic. He felt that as long as the amount of these masters gathered around, there might be no harmony. The power of the evil monster. It's useless, you don't understand how powerful his power is. At this time, when everyone was standing beside Baihua, Kai-Touch suddenly sat beside him and said this. After hearing Kai-Touch's words, everyone felt a little bit of turbulence in their hearts, and Baihua also looked at Kai-Touch coldly. I advise you to talk less. If you don't want to live, we won't stop you, but you shouldn't affect us. Baihua opened his mouth, and after hearing Baihua say this, Kai-Touch was also slightly stunned. Immediately afterwards, Kai-Touch fell silent, and Baihua also gathered all the masters present except Kai-Touch. They stood together, and Baihua also looked at the evil monster. At this time, the chains on the evil monster were about to break free, and as the chains on the evil monster gradually broke free, they also felt that the power on the evil monster seemed to be stronger, which made Baihua feel very in his heart. He was frightened, but Baihua tried his best to calm himself down. Immediately after that, Baihua thought about it, and he said, the evil monster has already broken free of this seal, and the only chance we have to defeat the evil monster now is, perhaps, before the evil monster can break the seal, take him one step at a time, because after he breaks the seal, maybe his strength will be even stronger. If we can't beat him now, there will be no chance in the future. Diaresis. Baihua opened his mouth, and after hearing Bai Hua's words, the experts around him nodded. Master Bai Hua, please lead us to attack the evil monsters quickly, there is not much time left. At this time, a master said this. After hearing what they said, Bai Hua also nodded, and then Bai Hua made everyone stand together. I was fortunate enough to learn an attacking secret technique that can bring all our strengths together, so that we can perfectly combine our own strengths, and then I will perform the final blow to attack this evil monster. Bai Hua opened his mouth, and after hearing Bai Hua say this, everyone became happy in their hearts, but they didn't expect Bai Hua to have such a secret technique. Time is of the essence. I'll leave this secret technique to you now. The combination of this secret technique is very powerful, but it is not difficult to learn. It is suitable for this time. Bai Hua opened his mouth, and after hearing Bai Hua say this, other people's hearts were also more joyful, and the heart of Kai Touch, who was sitting in the distance, also moved slightly. He didn't expect Bai Hua to have such a secret technique. Bai Hua, if that's the case, then add me as well. At this time, Chihu also stood up, walked to Bai Hua's side and said this. After hearing Chi-Chi's words, Bai Hua's eyes were slightly surprised, but Bai Hua was a little surprised. Nodded. I thought you were really not afraid of death. If that's the case, then hurry up and learn this secret technique. Bai Hua opened his mouth, and Chihu didn't mind the meaning of Bai Hua's words, and then Chihu stood next to Bai Hua, and then Bai Hua passed on the secret method, and when Bai Hua passed on this secret method, and everyone's hearts also fluctuated. They have already seen that the secret technique of Bai Hua is indeed very precious. If they use the secret technique of Bai Hua, they can connect all the powers of everyone, and then attack together. And after stacking their powers together, it won't be as simple as 1 plus 1, it usually has the effect of 1 plus 12. Maybe we can really escape this time. After Kai Touch saw the secret technique of Bai Hua, his heart also became very happy. Don't look at how desperate he looked before, just because he was desperate, it also meant that he was very afraid of death, and on the contrary, he cherished his life even more. So at this time, when I felt that Bai Hua might really be able to lead them to escape from here, holding the touch was also a way to stand up and want to join Bai Hua. It didn't take long for everyone to have learned this secret technique. It's not too late, let's hurry up and use this secret technique now, sir. Bai Hua opened his mouth, and after hearing Bai Hua say this, everyone nodded in agreement, and then Bai Hua walked in front of them, and behind him stood a few Demon Supremes, as well as their masters under Demon Supreme. These masters were all looking at Bai Hua at this time. When they looked at Bai Hua, their hands started to fly, and they showed the secret technique that Bai Hua gave them. Their hands are constantly waving, and when their hands are flying, the energy in the body is also continuously gathering towards the body. When the energy is gathered outside the body, it is also uploaded to Bai Hua's body one by one. You can see the energy on their bodies from a distance, as if they turned into dragons, which converged on Bai Hua, and the momentum on Bai Hua began to rise continuously. The face felt very startled. Bai Hua's current aura seems to make me feel like I once saw the Lord of Demons attack. At this time, holding the touch standing behind Bai Hua, after watching Bai Hua display this secret technique, he also thought the same in his heart. 260. The coming of autumn leaves, 6/6. And there was a little bit of hope in Chihu's heart, and then Chihu worked harder to contribute the energy in his body towards Bai Hua's body, and Bai Hua's aura became even more terrifying. Stand up. At this time, the evil monsters in the golden room also noticed Bai Hua's actions. The evil eccentric turned his head to look at Bai Hua, a little surprised in his heart, and a look of surprise flashed in his eyes. Evil eccentric, today is your day of death, do you think you can break the seal? Bai Hua spoke, and at this time he also gathered everyone's energy into him, and Bai Hua's momentum also began to reach a peak, which looked extremely terrifying. Die. Bai Hua opened his mouth, and then Bai Hua gathered everyone's strength, forming an incomparably huge energy ball, and attacked the evil monster in the golden room. At this time, the evil monster looked at Baihua's attack and seemed to be stunned. Down the same. Haha, did you give up resistance? At this time, Baihua also saw the appearance of the evil monster and said, and there were some smug smiles on his face, as if he had seen the scene of his attack coming in contact with the evil monster in the next moment, and then killing the evil monster. 123. Immediately after the next moment, Baihua's attack had already landed on the evil monster. Baihua's attack also wrapped the entire body of the evil monster. A violent white light began to shine, and even the air in front of him was beeped. Hua's attack evaporated a little. Has the evil monster been eliminated? At this time, all the people holding touch and all raised their heads and looked towards the center of the white light, where the evil monster stood just now. At this time, the white light slowly disappeared, and then they saw a figure still standing in the center of the attack just now. This figure stood in the center of the attack just now, looking very tall and straight, without any injuries on his body. How is that possible? Baihua's complexion also began to change. At this time, he discovered that he had gathered the energy of all the experts present, and then formed this blow, attacking the evil monster, but did not cause any injury to the evil monster. This not only made Baihua extremely shocked, but also extremely frightened in his heart. How can it be so powerful, how can it be defeated? At this time, Chituch also saw this scene. All the beliefs in his heart seemed to have collapsed, and then he slumped to the ground again. In his heart, he also lost the idea of fighting against evil monsters. He collapsed to the ground, as if quietly waiting for death. Baihua was also stunned in place. His mind was blank. He did not expect to get such a result after gathering everyone's energy to attack the evil monster. It's the most powerful blow he's ever delivered in his life, but it's like a tickling for an evil eccentric. The evil monster was standing in the golden room at this time, looking at Baihua and the others with a smile on his face. His eyes were completely disdainful. The evil eccentric ached his palm, and then lightly stroked his body a few times, as if he was patting some dust. After seeing the evil eccentric's actions, Biwa was completely desperate in his heart. At this time, he finally understood what Chituch had done before, because at this time he was as desperate as Chituch. And panic began to permeate the surrounding. Everyone's heart was filled with infinite panic. They felt like a prisoner who was about to be executed, waiting quietly for death. It's over, this time it's over. It's totally impossible for us to injure him a little bit. Many people collapsed to the ground and spoke. Their hearts were also filled with despair, and they had even given up the idea of running away. Ellipsis 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 ellipsis. And at this moment, Yi Chu and the Demon Lord also rushed towards this side. Yi Chu, hurry up and follow me. The evil monster has less than 10% of the seal chain left, so he can completely break free from the Golden House seal. The Demon Lord said, and his voice was also very anxious. After hearing the Demon Lord say this, Yi Chu also nodded, and then Yi Chu put his hand on the Demon Lord. The next moment Yi Chu started to activate his space shuttle ability. Immediately after, Yi Chu disappeared with the Demon Lord, and the next moment Yi Chu appeared in front of the Golden House with the Demon Lord. After the Demon Lord sensed that Yi Chu had displayed such an ability to him, the Demon Lord was also a little surprised, but he didn't say much at this time, because at this time they had already arrived in front of the Golden House. The Demon Lord also saw the evil monster in the Golden House who was about to break the seal at a glance. When the Demon Lord saw the evil monster, his eyes became a little dignified. At this time, everyone present saw that Yi Chu and the Demon Lord suddenly appeared in front of them. Yi Chu, why did you come here suddenly? At this time, Baihua opened his mouth to ask, and he was also very doubtful in his heart. Yi Chu left here before, and Yi Chu didn't come out for a long time, which made Baihua think that Yi Chu had died or was hiding somewhere. Don't dare to come out. And Chigu and Yamozi also saw Yi Chu come out at this time, and Yamozi was very happy again. He knew that Yi Chu appeared at this time to help them solve their troubles, and Yi Chu stood at this time. The spot is right in front of the Golden House. However, When Yamozi thought of the scene just now, Yamozi also became a little depressed in his heart. Can Yi Chu really defeat the evil monster? You must know that this evil monster is even stronger than the demon lord. Thinking of this in Yamozi's heart, even he has some doubts in his heart. Although Yi Chu has always created miracles, but whether Yi Chu can create miracles this time, Yamozi also feels very uncertain in his heart. At this time, Baihua also saw the figure standing beside Yi Chu. The figure looked very familiar, and it made Baihua think of a person who made him fear.